you want to get the information on dog bites in Florida and how they relate to personal injury claims. So I've handled over the years a lot of dog bite claims. They are not the easiest claims to make. They're a little bit different, and we'll go over the ways that they are. So first, we'll go over some statistics, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about what's special about dog bite claims and how we handle them, and then we'll kind of wrap up. So first of all, there's a high frequency of dog bites in the United States. Approximately 4.5 million dog bites happen every year, with about 1 in 5 of those dog bites ended up requiring medical attention. Medical costs, dog bite related hospital stays average $18,200, which is significantly higher than a lot of other injury related hospitalizations. And the reason for that is because a lot of those times when somebody goes to the hospital for a dog bite, they also need stitches or sutures, and a lot of things to, like medicines to make sure that they don't get an infection, because dog mouths can be very gross. So you have to make sure that, those everything gets sanitized. There are about 30 to 50 fatalities from dog bites annually in the United States. And most of the time, sadly, those involve children and the elderly, because they're the least likely to be able to defend themselves from a dog bite. Children aged 5 to 9 years are the most frequent. So children that are 5 to 9 years old are the most frequent victims of dog bites, often from dogs that they know. So I think that the reason for this, and I'm just guessing here, but we'll talk about some of the defenses that a defendant has in these cases, but it's provocation. So a child 5 to 9 years old may have grown up with that dog or knows that dog and is messing with that dog, provoking that dog, and the dog ends up going, hey, no more, and bites the child. So that's why a lot of kids under 5, the prevalence is not as high as 5 to 9, because under 5 they're not really able to mess with the dog. But from 5 to 9 they can, and once they get over 9, they know better than to do that. So you really always, you always want to monitor your children. If you have a dog at home, there's just no time that you want to leave a vulnerable child around a dog, even that dog so well. I have a baby at home, and I have a dog that I've had for 7 years, and I still just won't leave him in the same room. My dog's never even growled at anybody, but it's just the risk is too high. And most likely there's no way my baby's going to provoke that dog. It's a dog. At the end of the day, it's a dog. You can never predict what they're going to do. Males are more likely to be bitten than females. So studies show that males are slightly more likely than females to experience dog bites, and that's especially among children. Maybe that's because, as you know, if you have children, your boys may be a little bit more rambunctious, and the dogs don't like that. About 77% of dog bites come from a dog that the victim knows, often their own pet or a neighbor's pet. We have represented multiple children in these horrible cases where they get bit by a neighbor's dog, and they've known the dog. They know that they've known the dog for a long time. They know that the dog is dangerous, and they don't even go over there. The dog somehow gets out and attacks the child. Households where there are 2 or more dogs are 5 times more likely to experience a dog bite incident compared to homes with no dogs, which may seem obvious, right? Like homes with no dogs are probably a lot less likely, but to experience a dog bite. But when you have more than 2 dogs, the dogs, you know how it is. You try to get the dogs separated, the dogs fight with each other, and then eventually, they may accidentally bite somebody who tries to get involved. Small dogs bite too. So Chihuahuas, Dachshunds, Jack Russell Terriers are reported to show high aggression, and they bite, but their bites are usually not as destructive as a big dog. But there are a lot of breed misconceptions. So dogs like Pit Bulls and Rottweilers are often implicated in severe attacks. All these regulations that they've made to restrict somebody's right to have a pit bull or an American Staffordshire Terrier or a Rottweiler or any kind of what they think is a dangerous dog. None of those laws ever really work to actually reduce the incidence of dog bites. So during play, most of these dog bites occur during rough play. So always let your kids know, hey, don't ever roughhouse with a dog. Because dogs are having fun until they're not, and then they're going to let you know that they're not having fun in a way that they can't really take it back. So a dog can do a lot of serious damage in just one quick bite, and we've seen it a lot of times with head injuries and injuries on the buttocks and legs that they can just tear you open in one bite. So let your kids know never to roughhouse with a dog, and never to play in a way with a dog that can be conceived, misconstrued by that dog as any kind of aggression. So provoked incidents, a significant portion of bites happen when the dog does feel threatened, is startled, or is trying to protect something that it sees as valuable. Insurance claims. So this is what we do. So dog bites account for over 1/3 of homeowners' liability insurance claims, and that in the United States, that's costing the insurers about $1 billion annually from dog bite claims. Average settlement amounts for dog bite claims range from $30,000 to $50,000, depending on the severity. I've personally had a dog bite case that we settled for $500,000. I've had dog bite claims that we've settled for $8,000. So there's quite a range there. It depends on insurance coverage. It depends on the severity of the bite. It depends on how much of your medical bills. There's a lot that goes into it. So I don't know where they got the $30,000 to $50,000 number, but my numbers are spread out even more than that. Education reduces the risk. So again, we just want to teach children to approach dogs calmly and respect their space. And this will significantly reduce the likelihood that a child is involved in a dog bite accident. Spaying and neutering really does help. So a lot of people are hesitant to get their dog spayed or neutered, but if your dog is spayed or neutered, they're a lot less likely to show the aggressive behavior or get involved with another dog in a way that's going to cause a fight with that dog, or show any aggression towards humans as well. So getting your dog neutered, spayed really makes it a lot less likely that they're going to bite somebody. So in Florida is a strict liability dog bite state. So what that means is you only have to prove that the person owned the dog and that it bit you and that it injured you. So if you can prove those things, you don't have to prove negligence. So normally in let's say a slip and fall case or a car accident case, you have to prove that the person who injured you did something negligent, that they breached a duty, is what we say as lawyers. And I know that probably doesn't mean much to you, but what that means is they did something unreasonable, right? They did something like ran a stop sign. That's not reasonable. You should stop at a stop sign. And if you can prove that and a jury thinks, hey, you know what, that was negligent, now we go to the next step, which is, okay, how much do they owe you? But in these cases, you don't have to prove that they were negligent. You don't have to prove that they knew the dog was dangerous. You don't have to prove that even though they knew the dog was dangerous, they kept it. You don't have to prove that they trained the dog in some way that caused it to bite you. None of that stuff really even matters. All you have to prove is that they own the dog bit you, and the dog caused you damages. And if you can do those things, you don't have to prove negligence. Now, if the dog gets off a leash and bumps you off a bicycle, for example, and they don't actually bite you, now we're going to have to prove some kind of negligence, which in that case, I think we could do. But just as an example, the dog bite statute in Florida requires a bite. We've handled cases where we try to say it doesn't require the bite, but the statute's very clear, it requires a bite. There are defenses to dog bites. So if you own a dangerous dog, it's very important that you put up signs around your property. And I'm going to defer to the dog bite statute here. And there's a specific so this is not the exact thing that the statute says, but you have to follow the statute, and it says dangerous dog or something like that. You have to put that up on your fence, and it has to be like a sign. And for and then there's a certain age limit. It might be 7 years old. If somebody over that comes on your property and gets bit by your dog, they can't sue you because, or there's this defense that, hey, we warned them that there was a dangerous dog on the property. Again, look at the numbers on that, like what the age is. I haven't had that case in a while, but there is a number. But underneath that number, that child, if they come on your property, it doesn't matter if you have that sign, they can still sue you for the dog bite under a strict liability theory. But another defense that defendants can have when their dog bites somebody is provocation. So like we talked about before, a lot of kids get in trouble ages 5 to 9 for provoking dogs and they get bit. Provocation is a defense. So if you can prove that your dog was provoked into biting somebody, that's a defense to these cases. Finally, the biggest hurdle that we face in these claims is homeowners insurance. So over the years, homeowners insurance has dropped dog bite claims. So out of all the calls we get now for dog bite claims, a lot of them don't end up having any insurance to go after because the homeowner's coverage specifically excludes it. So in the case I told you about where we settled a case for $500,000 on a dog bite, it was because somebody had a specialty policy with a specialty insurance company that covered these dogs that the guy had money and he wanted to protect it, and so he bought a specialty policy for these dogs. But generally, your homeowners policies in Florida that you're going to see don't contain any animal coverage. They have a specific animal exclusion. So if you have any kind of assets and you have a dog that has a propensity to bite somebody, you might want to buy additional specialty coverage to cover that dog. Another one that we had was somebody knew that it was a dangerous dog. So in like Osceola County, they require that you carry some, $100,000 of coverage because your dog has been deemed a dangerous dog and you decided to keep that dog. Now they make you have insurance coverage, but there's a specialty carrier. So these things can be very complex. We have a lot of experience handling dog bite claims. If you or somebody that you know has been bit by a dog, especially if it's a child, call us so we can walk you through your options. It's free. We'll talk to you as long as we need to explain to you, the best way to go about seeking justice for your dog bite claim.